Hello, good people, and trust all is well. My name is Jonas. Everyone calls me the chosen companion, and today I'm here to discuss with you the key questions people keep asking me. People keep asking me when exactly Jesus was born. I am here to let you in on what you should know. If you are new to my channel, I humbly request that you take a moment of your time to subscribe to my channel and then help it grow. If you've done it too, thank you and remain blessed. So, when exactly was Jesus born? The answer to this question is not far-fetched at all. In fact, the answer to this question can be found exactly in John chapter 1, verse 14 and 15. In John chapter 1, verse 14 and 15, that is where we get to know exactly when Jesus was born. Notice why John was written, the gospel according to John. Notice when it was written. It was written to dispel and to disprove notable heresies at the time, during their persecution and all that. Jesus was born on the 15th day of the 7th month, the month of Tishri in the Jewish calendar. That is exactly when Jesus was born. And by the dictate of John chapter 1, verse 15, Jesus was born on a Thursday, the day of grace, the 5th day of the week. Notice one thing. When you read John chapter 1, verse 14, John used two Greek words. He said logos and tabernaculis. These are two Greek words that John used in John chapter 1, verse 14. What basically John was doing was that he was referring our attention to all that happened in some time past, notably in Exodus chapter 40, verse 26 to 40 or thereabout. When we read Exodus chapter 40, verse 26 to 40, the Bible tells us that God descended forth and settled around the tabernacles of the Jews in those days when they were in the wilderness. When you fast forward to Leviticus chapter 23, verse 34 and 35, we notice one thing. We notice that God instructed the people of Israel to observe that momentous occasion as happened in Exodus chapter 40, verse 26 to 40, on the 15th day of the 7th month, the month of Tishri in the Jewish calendar. When you extrapolate and you do the transposition into our normal calendar, then it will fall somewhere on the 16th or the 17th of September. So in John chapter 1, verse 14, John pauses to tell us all that on the day that the Jews were remembering God who came to dwell among their tabernacles, that same and very day, the Word became flesh, literally meaning Jesus was born. Notice another thing from the yarn. Between John chapter 1 verse 4 and John chapter 1 verse 14 is a period of 9 months. Because we notice that in John chapter 1 verse 4, quoting from the Greek, say afton itan zoe. Say afton itan zoe. John was basically telling us all that Jesus was formed, or Jesus became, as it were, the Holy Spirit, in paraphrasing it, the Holy Spirit impregnated Mary when the Jews were celebrating the Feast of Light. And he who was, as it were, impregnated or was formed during the Feast of Light later became the light of the world. But what we observe in the narrative of the Bible is that sometimes the translation doesn't appear quite tact. It doesn't appear quite exact as John or the writers of the Bible wanted it to be. So it appears we see mistranslations, misconstruencies, and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, what John said was that Jesus was formed when, or Jesus, the Holy Spirit practically, in paraphrasing it, the Holy Spirit impregnated Mary when the Jews were celebrating the Feast of Light. And we all know that it takes 9 months for a baby to be brought forth into this world. So when you check the Jewish calendar, between the Feast of Light and the Feast of the Tabernacles is a period of 9 months. So it follows in order, and I agree wholeheartedly with John that Jesus Christ was formed, the Holy Spirit impregnated Mary when the Jews were celebrating the Feast of Light. In John chapter 1 verse 14, when the Jews were celebrating or observing the Feast of the Tabernacles as directed by God in Leviticus chapter 23 verse 34 to 35, that is the day according to John, Jesus was born. When you read John chapter 1 verse 15 again, John said one thing. Sti aletheia, ola aftan senebisan tin imera tis karitos. Now this is Greek, and when translated, it means, truth be told, all of these things happened on the day of grace. Now, in Jewish numerology, the day of grace, the number 5 stands for the day for grace. So if John is talking about the day of grace, then John basically is telling us that Jesus was born on the 5th day of the week. John was an eyewitness to the Jesus account, to the Jesus narrative and the Gospels. And John posits that stay aletheia, ola aftan senebisan, tinimera, tiskaritos. This is Greek, and I repeat, when translated, it means all of these things, truth be told, all of these things happen on the day of grace. So the day of grace, which was the day they were celebrating the Feast of the Tabernacles, and that same day the Word became flesh, literally meaning on that same day Jesus was born. So with all of this in mind, we get to know exactly when Jesus was born. It is not far-fetched. People have been asking me this question, and today I want to give a palpable answer. If you have any doubt at all in your mind, feel free to contact me in the comment box, and I'll be ready to listen and listen to other sides of the divide too as well. As always, like I keep saying, my name is Jonas. Forever and ever, I remain your chosen companion. Well said.